am Johanna, and I'm an architect and designer.
And I'm Alvin, I'm also an architect and a designer, and together we run Polymorf, which is a multidisciplinary practice for design, architecture and research, which investigates the borderland between digital fabrication and craft.
We use computational design or procedural design to model in the computer forms of great complexity, and we materialize these through the means of ceramic 3D printing.
The idea is that we design processes, digital processes or algorithms that can generate shapes that are quite complex, that would have been very hard to design otherwise. Things that they might be organic in a way, or they look like they came up from the bottom of the ocean and you don't know what it is. I think that's something that is intuitively frightening for humans, maybe because we don't know what this creature or object is. Is it poisonous, or is it good for me? I think it has to do with that. Previously, the shape has been the expensive part in production. So if you want to have an elephant or an eagle or a very intricate shape, it gets very expensive. But if you just want to have a box, that's cheaper, right? But when you 3D print, the shape doesn't matter anymore. You can 3D print whatever because the printer doesn't care.
I would say the printer, or maybe the printer doesn't care, but the clay cares. So it's even more efficient to make a complex form than a straight boxy form, because the clay wouldn't like that and it would collapse. We are currently investigating how to implement these forms into an architectural scale. And one project that we are working on right now is how we can make these texturous bricks implemented in traditional facade systems.
There is always so much clay that are excavated when you build a building, and nobody knows really what to do with this clay. Mostly it's just a problem. But what if someone could bring a printer to the site and a kiln and just build a building out of the material that is just brought up from the ground?
And that makes it interesting, both in a sustainable way and also in a relatable way to the actual context, because the color of the ground will match. Like it will be from there. And that is one aspect of making a socially sustainable place. Because one of the biggest parts within architecture that we work from is the importance of building environments that people are enjoying and wants to keep. Because however sustainable the actual material choices are, doesn't really matter in 100 years if people think that the buildings are really ugly, because then they will just tear them down. And that is an aspect of sustainability which is very interesting to us. And it's really rarely discussed in today's discourse. And an example is that like the old parts of towns are the most appreciated, and this house from the 16th century is not in any risk of being demolished, but that is maybe a house from the 80s or 90s today is at a very, very large risk to be torn down because people think it's ugly. And that aspect is really interesting, to make things that are precious and then kept